The folder opens by itself. Tatiana Hayes freezes, her fingers still hovering above the keyboard. She didn't click anything. The laptop just decided. And now she's staring at something she was never supposed to see. Photos. Dozens of them. Women in silk sheets. Women against marble countertops. Women who don't know they're being photographed. Her stomach lurches. She reaches for the trackpad, desperate to close it, but the screen flickers. More images load. A bathroom. A hotel room. A woman's face, pressed against glass, eyes closed, unaware. Tatiana's breath catches in her throat. This isn't a glitch. This is a confession. The penthouse is silent except for the hum of the city 43 floors below. She can feel the weight of the armed men stationed outside the office door. She can smell the leather furniture, the faint trace of expensive cologne still lingering in the air. She shouldn't be here. But before leaving, drop a comment below. What would you do if you accidentally saw something that could destroy a powerful man? Run? Stay silent? Or risk everything to expose the truth? Behind her, a door clicks open. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. She doesn't turn around. She can't. Her hands are shaking too hard. A voice, low and calm, cuts through the silence. I didn't give you permission to open that. Her heart slams against her ribs. She closes her eyes, counts to 3, then forces herself to speak. It was an accident. The system. Turn around. She does. Dante Moreau stands 5 feet away, sleeves rolled to his elbows, tattoos snaking up his forearms and disappearing beneath the fabric. His expression hasn't changed. That's the part that terrifies her most. He's not angry. He's deciding. You understand, he says quietly, that what you just saw doesn't exist. What secret would you take to the grave? Tatiana nods. Too fast. Too eager. Of course, she says. I didn't see anything. Dante tilts his head, studying her like she's a puzzle he's already solved. You're lying, he says. Not an accusation. A fact. She swallows hard. He steps closer. The air shifts. She can smell his cologne now, sandalwood. Something darker underneath. Power doesn't need to shout. It just leans in. People who see things, he continues, voice steady, tend to imagine consequences. Regret. Leverage. I don't, she says quickly. I fix computers. That's all. His smile is worse than any threat. You remind me of someone, he says. Principled. Quiet. The kind of person who thinks silence is safety. Her pulse hammers in her ears. He walks to the window, hands in his pockets, silhouette framed against the lake. Chicago glitters below them indifferent, infinite, swallowing secrets whole. You know what I do for a living? He asks. She shakes her head. I manage risk, he says. That's all power is, really. Knowing what people want, what they fear, what they'll do to keep breathing. He turns back to her. Right now, you're a risk. Her throat tightens. I can delete it, she offers. Wipe the drive. Scrub the metadata. No one will ever. I don't need you to delete anything, he interrupts. I need to know what kind of person you are. Tatiana's mind races. She thinks of her father, the funeral, the hollow excuses, the way the detectives stopped returning her calls after the first week. She learned then that some truths are dangerous, and some silences are survival. I'm the kind of person, she says carefully, who finishes the job and walks away. Dante watches her for a long, unbearable moment. Then he gestures to the laptop. Finish the repair, he says. Then we'll discuss what happens next. Would you trust a man who smiles when he threatens you? Tatiana's hands move on autopilot. Diagnostics, reboot, system restore. Her mind is somewhere else entirely. 5 years ago, her father sat at their kitchen table, hands folded, face pale. She'd never seen him scared before. If anything happens to me, he'd said, don't ask questions. Just move on. She was 26, stupid enough to think he was being dramatic. 3 weeks later, he collapsed in a courthouse parking garage. Heart failure, they said. Stress. But Tatiana had found his laptop afterward. Encrypted files. Emails to federal prosecutors. Names she recognized from the newsmen who never got arrested. never got indicted, never got touched. Her father had tried to testify. They made sure he didn't. Now, sitting in this penthouse, staring at a screen full of secrets, she understands exactly what her father must have felt. The weight of knowing, the cost of speaking. The laptop chimes. Reboot complete. Dante returns, silent as a shadow. He leans over her shoulder, checking the screen. Good. He murmurs. You're efficient. She unplugs her drive, packs her tools. Her hands are steadier now. Muscle memory. The routine of leaving. But when she reaches for her bag, Dante's hand settles on the desk beside hers. Not touching her, just close enough. You know, he says, your father used to work in financial systems too. Her blood turns to ice. She looks up slowly. Dante's expression is unreadable. He was smart, he continues. Too smart. Thought he could build a case from the inside. Thought principles mattered more than breathing. Tatiana's voice comes out raw. You killed him. Dante sighs. Almost bored. No, he says. I gave him a choice. He straightens, adjusting his cuffs. The same choice I'm giving you. What would you sacrifice to avenge someone you loved? The room feels smaller now. Dante dismisses his men with a flick of his wrist. The guards disappear without a word. The door clicks shut. It's just the two of them. I don't understand, Tatiana says. You will, he replies. He walks to the bar, pours himself a drink. Doesn't offer her one. I need someone I can trust, he says. Someone who understands the value of silence. Someone who knows what happens when people talk. Tatiana's stomach twists. You want me to work for you. I want you to secure my systems, he corrects. Erase my mistakes. Make sure nothing like tonight ever happens again. She stares at him. And if I say no? Dante sips his drink, sets it down gently. Then you walk out that door, he says, and hope accidents don't follow people who know too much. There it is. The unthinkable. He's not holding a gun. He's not raising his voice. He's offering her survival at the cost of everything she is. Tatiana thinks of her father, the empty casket, the unanswered questions. She thinks of the women in those photos, the ones who didn't know they were being watched. I need time, she says. Dante nods, as if he expected this. You have until morning, he says. After that, the offer expires. He reaches into his jacket, pulls out an envelope. Cash. Thick. For tonight's work, he says, placing it on the desk. She doesn't touch it. He moves toward the door, pauses. Your father thought he was doing the right thing, Dante says softly. He died believing it mattered. He looks back at her. I'm giving you the chance to live instead. The door closes behind him. Tatiana stands alone in the penthouse, the city glittering below, the envelope waiting on the desk. And for the first time in 5 years, she knows exactly what she has to do. Would you become a monster to fight one? Tatiana doesn't sleep. She sits in her apartment, curtains drawn, staring at the wall. The envelope sits unopened on her kitchen counter. Blood money. Silence money. She should burn it. Instead, she opens her laptop. Her father's encryption system is still there, buried in her hard drive. He'd shown her once, years ago, before everything fell apart. A dead drop. A way to send information anonymously, untraceable, designed for people who couldn't afford to be seen. She'd never used it. Until now. Her hands hover over the keyboard. This is the moment. The line. Cross it. And there's no going back. She thinks of Dante's smile. The women in those photos. Her father's empty funeral. Then she thinks of the corrupted index file still cached in her system. She hadn't deleted it. Hadn't wiped it clean. She'd kept a fragment. Not the photos themselves that would be too dangerous, too obvious, but the metadata. Dates, locations, file names, patterns, proof. Her fingers move. She compresses the file, strips it of identifying markers, wraps it in layers of encryption her father taught her. Then she uploads it to the dead drop. Anonymous, invisible, sent into the dark, hoping someone on the other side is still listening. The progress bar inches forward. Her heart pounds. If Dante finds out, she's dead. If no one receives it, she's trapped. If it works, The upload completes. She closes the laptop, breathes. Outside, the city hums. Indifferent, alive. Tatiana walks to the window, stares at the skyline. Somewhere out there, Dante is sleeping, or planning, or deciding whether she's more useful alive or gone. She has until morning, but she's already made her choice. And somewhere in a federal office, a notification blinks to life on a forgotten server. Someone is watching, someone is waiting, and the trap has just begun. What would you risk to expose the truth? The text arrives at 6:47 a.m. Penthouse. 1 hour. Bring your tools. Tatiana stares at her phone, pulse racing. She hasn't slept, hasn't eaten. The dead drop upload finished hours ago, but there's been no response. No confirmation, just silence on the other end. Now Dante wants her back. She grabs her bag, checks the hidden partition where she keeps backup drives. Everything looks normal. Everything feels wrong. The penthouse looks different in daylight. Less menacing, almost beautiful. Dante is waiting in his office. Laptop open, expression unreadable. System updates. He says without greeting, I need redundancies, backup protocols, something foolproof. She nods, sets up her equipment. For 3 hours, she works, installing firewalls, mapping networks, building encryption layers that would take federal agents months to crack. And while she works, she memorizes everything. Server addresses, access points, security gaps. Dante watches her sometimes. Other times, he takes calls in another room, voice low, words clipped. She catches fragments. The judge is handled. Make sure the transaction is clean. I don't care what it costs. I care that it disappears. He's not running drugs. He's not moving weapons. He's moving information, blackmail, leverage, secrets that control people who control everything else. By noon, she understands the full scope. Dante doesn't just own this penthouse. He owns politicians, executives, people who make laws and break them in the same breath. And the photos on that laptop? Just one small piece. Insurance. When she finishes the install, Dante leans against the desk. You're good at this, he says. I know, she replies. He smiles, almost genuine. I'm going to test you, he says casually. Nothing dramatic, just small things. Ways to see if you're the person I think you are. Her stomach tightens. What kind of tests? You'll know when it happens, he says. And if you pass, this arrangement becomes permanent. If you don't, he doesn't finish. He doesn't need to. Tatiana packs her tools, hands steady. She meets his eyes. I understand, she says. But as she walks toward the elevator, something shifts in her chest. Because she just realized something. The laptop wasn't hacked from the outside. It was designed to glitch. Designed to open that folder. Designed to be seen. By her. And Dante has been watching her reaction this entire time. Would you walk into a trap if it was the only way to survive? The message comes 3 days later. Anonymous, encrypted, sent through a relay Tatiana recognizes from her father's old system. We received your package. One file flagged. Agent Camila Osei. Status. Missing. Last seen 2022. Presumed dead. Tatiana reads it twice. Then a third time. Camila Osei. She pulls up the metadata she copied. Cross-references the file names against the date stamp. One of the women in Dante's photos matches the timeline. Hotel room. Downtown Chicago. July 2022. But the metadata shows something else. Location tags. Coordinates that place the photo 6 months after Camila was reported missing. Which means Tatiana's breath catches. She's alive. Or she was. 6 months past the date, everyone stopped looking. Her hands shake as she types back. Need confirmation. Send case details. The response is instant. Camila Osei. Undercover asset. Financial Crimes Division. Embedded in Moreau's network 2021. Last contact. March 2022. Investigation closed. No body recovered. Tatiana leans back, mind racing. If Camila was undercover, and Dante knew. No. If Dante knew, she'd be dead. Unless The thought hits her like cold water. Unless Camila wasn't the only one being tested. Unless the laptop, the photos, the glitch, all of it was bait. Not for Camila. For whoever came after her. Tatiana's stomach drops. She opens her own file history, checking timestamps, access logs. Everything looks clean. But she knows Dante. Knows how he thinks. He doesn't need proof she copied the files. He just needs her to act like she did. And she already uploaded to the dead drop. Which means he's been waiting for her to make contact. Waiting to see who responds. Her phone buzzes. Another text from Dante. Dinner tonight. My place. 8 p.m. Don't be late. She stares at the message. This is it. The test. If she shows up, she's confirming she's still playing along. If she runs, she's admitting guilt. And if she tries to warn the federal contact, Tatiana closes her eyes. Her father's voice echoes in her head. Some battles you can't win by fighting. You win by making them think you've already lost. She deletes the federal messages, clears her cache, then texts Dante back. I'll be there. Because the only way out now is through. And somewhere in this city, Camila Osei is either dead, hiding, or waiting for someone to find her. Tatiana just became that someone. Would you risk your life to save someone you've never met? The table is set for two. Candles. Wine. A view of the city that costs more than most people earn in a year. Dante greets her at the door, dressed down. No suit. Just a black shirt, sleeves rolled, tattoos on full display. You came, he says, almost surprised. You invited me, she replies. He gestures to the table. They eat in silence for the first 10 minutes. Steak, perfectly cooked. Tatiana barely tastes it. Finally, Dante sets down his fork. I want to tell you a story, he says. She waits. 3 years ago. He begins. Someone tried to infiltrate my operation. Federal agent. Smart. Patient. Spent months building trust. Tatiana's pulse quickens. What happened? She asks, keeping her voice steady. Dante swirls his wine. I let her think she was winning, he says. Fed her information. Let her report back. Watched her handlers celebrate every small victory. He takes a sip. Then I cut her off. Disappeared her from the system. Made it look like she ran. Made it look like she was compromised. Tatiana's throat tightens. Why? Dante looks at her directly. Because I needed to know who I could trust, he says. Who would keep digging? Who would give up? Who was loyal to the mission? And who was loyal to survival? He leans forward. That laptop you fixed? He continues. The corrupted file? I built that glitch myself. Her heart stops. I needed someone to see it, he says calmly. Someone smart enough to understand what it meant. Someone desperate enough to do something about it. Tatiana doesn't move. Dakanazar. Dante smiles. You copied the metadata, he says. Not a question. She doesn't deny it. You sent it to a federal dead drop, he continues. One your father designed. Very clever. Her hands clench under the table. Here's the part you haven't figured out yet, Dante says, voice dropping. The federal agent monitoring that dead drop works for me now. The room tilts. Every message you sent, he says, I read. Every question you asked, I answered. Every move you made, I tracked. Tatiana can't breathe. So, here's my question, Dante says, leaning back. Are you working with them because you think it's right? Or because you think you'll survive? She meets his eyes. And in that moment, she realizes something. He's not testing her loyalty. He's testing her limit. How far she'll go. How much she'll sacrifice. Whether she'll break or burn. I'm working with them, she says slowly, because you killed my father. Dante's expression doesn't change. No, he says. I gave him a choice, just like I'm giving you one now. He stands, walks to the window. The agent you're looking for? Camila Osei. He glances back. She's not dead. She's waiting for you to find her. The penthouse lights flicker. Sirens rise from the street below. What happens when the hunter becomes the hunted? The door explodes inward. Federal agents flood the penthouse, weapons drawn, voices overlapping in sharp commands. Tatiana drops to the floor, hands over her head. Dante doesn't move. He stands by the window, hands in his pockets, watching the chaos with eerie calm. Dante Moreau. An agent shouts, "You're under arrest." He doesn't resist, doesn't run, doesn't even look surprised. They cuff him, read him his rights, start seizing equipment, laptops, servers, drives, and through it all, Dante's eyes stay locked on Tatiana. She's still on the floor, breathing hard, trying to process what just happened. An agent helps her up. Young, professional. Badge reads Jose. Tatiana's heart skips. Camila? She whispers. The woman nods once, silent. As Dante is led toward the elevator, he stops, looks back at Tatiana one last time. "You fixed more than my laptop," he says quietly. The agents push him forward, but his words hang in the air. "You fixed the balance." The elevator doors close. Tatiana stands alone in the ruined penthouse, surrounded by agents cataloging evidence, the city glittering below. She doesn't feel victorious. She feels hollow, because she knows what comes next. Testimony, trials, questions she can't answer without destroying herself. And somewhere in the evidence being boxed up, there's proof she was complicit. Proof she worked for him. Proof she knew. Camila approaches, voice low. "We need to talk," she says. "About what happens now." Tatiana nods. But as she walks toward the elevator, she catches her reflection in the glass. And for the first time in 5 years, she doesn't recognize the woman staring back. Can you survive justice when you've become what you fought against? The testimony room is small, cold. A single window overlooks nothing. Tatiana sits behind protective glass, answering questions she rehearsed for weeks. Yes, she worked for Dante Moreau. Yes, she copied encrypted files. Yes, she knew what she was doing. The prosecutors don't thank her. The defense tears into her credibility. The judge looks tired. But in the end, it's enough. Dante Moreau is sentenced, not for murder, not for violence, for exposure. His network collapses. Politicians resign. Executives face indictments. Secrets dragged into daylight lose their power. And Tatiana's father's case is reopened. Officially, publicly, his name is cleared. She attends the hearing alone. No cameras, no reporters. Just her and the ghost of a man who tried to do the right thing. Afterward, she disappears. New city, new name, same work. But she's not invisible anymore. She knows what she's capable of now, what she's sacrificed, what she became to survive. Sometimes, late at night, she thinks about Dante's final words. "You fixed the balance." She wonders if he meant it as praise or warning, wonders if there's a difference. Because the truth is, she didn't fix anything. She just broke something bigger. And in the wreckage, she found a way to breathe. Months later, a package arrives. No return address. Inside, a single USB drive. Encrypted, a message in a file named "Thank you." Tatiana stares at it for a long time. Then she plugs it in, and the screen fills with one sentence. Some secrets are worth keeping. She deletes it, walks away. But she never stops looking over her shoulder. What would you do if the past refused to let you go?